Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Dear all, I, Professor Amit Sudhar from Department of Computer Science, welcomes you in Chaitanya Studio of the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Today we are going to start the session regarding application inspection tools in cybersecurity principles. So basically these are my today's session outline. In this we are discussing various application inspection tools. Firstly, I would like to describe over here the learning objective through this unit number 2 of application inspection tools. After studying this unit, students should be able to identify different kinds of web vulnerabilities using various tools. Web app tools for inspection like ZAP, SQLMap, etc. So, I would like to introduce in this session various tools which are assist the manual analysis of an interaction with web application. In this section, we care more about how the web application handle cookie values or how it respond to different values for a URL parameter or what kind of data it accept from the form submission. So, let us see application inspection tools. In this section, we will cover the tool which identifies the SQL injection, logic flows, cross-site scripting attack, XSS attack and many more. Also, it focuses on manual analysis of web application as well as traffic analysis over the web. So, firstly, I would like to introduce the application inspection tool which are available for all open source program actually, and this one is the ZAP, Z Attack Proxy. Short form is the ZAP. ZAP is an open source program or tool offered by the OWASP. OWASP is nothing but a one kind of a project, open web application security project for pen testing and discovers the vulnerabilities available in your web application or website. So, it will finding the various vulnerabilities inside the website. Basically, ZAP provides to detect following kinds of threats like SQL injection, session management, cross-site scripting attack, broken access control, then after security loophole in configuration file, sensitive data leak, inadequate protection, unsecure APIs and very known vulnerabilities. So, through the ZAP, various features can be derived like active scan. So, this is to discover non vulnerabilities against targeted attack. Then after alert, so an alert is the prospective vulnerabilities with specified request. So, we can get an alert whatever we have active scan in ZAP utility. So, there is another feature which I would like to discuss over here, that is API. API is full form of application programming interface. We can get some third party tool Okay, all we can say getting some data from another website into our application or our website through the API we can get. Okay, so API provides the functionality to configure ZAP programmatically. It supports HTML, XML and JSON format. So, these are the various format through that API can get the data. Authentication. So, in ZAP it handles various types of authentication that is used in web application, like manual authentication that are basically created by the developer. Okay, manual authentication. Then after form based authentication, so it is generally OS dependent form based authentication, like in Windows there is a login. Okay, so it is an example of form based authentication. Through the form we can get the credential. HTTP authentication. So HTTP authentication is again it's developed by the programmer, web programmer, and script based authentication. So these are the authentication is also supported by the ZAP tool. HTTP session. So HTTP session is the another features of ZAP. Generally session is used to track the website. Okay, in ZAP user can switch the user session on website to create a new session instead of destroying the existing one. So this is the basic use of HTTP session, and there are several modes available in ZAP, like safe, so it is not dangerous; protected, so it is potentially dangerous action in URL; standard, you can do anything in this mode; and last one is the attack mode. So in attack mode, new nodes are actively scanned while it discovered. Okay, so these are the various modes available in Z attack proxy utility. Then after, it also supports the man in the middle proxy, MITM. MITM stands for man in the middle proxy, who allows you to check all the incoming request and outgoing response from the web application. So while the clients wants to communicate with the some another node, at the same time MITM proxy is in between these two nodes. It will provide the getting the responses from the sender as well as receiver. Okay. So MITM, man in the middle proxy, who allow you to check all the incoming request and outgoing responses from the web application. So by bidirectional we can say we will get the request as well as response from the web application through the MITM proxy. Session management, generally in web application we are using to transfer a data from one page to another page. There are some mechanism to transmit this kind of variables value through the session management, like session, cookies. So these are the various form of the session management, and it covers cookie based as well as HTTP authentication based session management. So through the session management we can also get this in ZAP utility. Then after, there is a tag. So basically a tag is a short information text actually it is one kind of a bookmark, we can say. We are bookmark some important or some textual information, okay, if it is an important. So through the tags in ZAP we can also perform the application inspection tools. It is a short information text which is associated with all requests. It can be managed by manage tag dialog. Sometime developer will debug or will use some specific tag for debugging purpose, and through that tag very vulnerable items can be found in such kind of web application. So tags is also managed by the ZAP utility. So how it will look like a Z attack proxy? Here you can see the snapshot regarding ZAP. Actually it is pre-installed in Kali Linux. Again, I would like to recommend that use the Kali Linux for Z attack proxy. Or why? Because already pre-installed various softwares in this particular operating system. Although if you want to use separately in Windows operating system, you have to download particular ZAP utility from the website and install accordingly. After executing this ZAP utility, this is the welcome screen actually in this. So by observing the screen, I have highlighted some number which indicates the basic like one number indicate menu bar, then after 2 number indicate in the screen is standard toolbar, and 3 number indicate the tree view where is the various projects are there, whatever you have scanned, okay, and 4 is your we can say work area, okay, where we are providing such URL going to be observing, or we are going to be target that particular or specified URL in this 4th number, and click on connect. So it will scan that particular URL and find the non-vulnerabilities available in that particular website or web application. In the 5th number, you can say here is the some activity area, okay. So whatever findings by the 4th number is providing inside the activity area, okay. And at last there is a 6th number which is a status. Actually it is a status bar, whether the alert is there or not, or some vulnerabilities is going to be found or not. So through the status you will get in this Z attack proxy or ZAP utility. So this is the basic about ZAP utility. Now I would like to introduce the SQLMap. It is a very famous open source pen testing tool for finding the various exploitation regarding SQL injection vulnerabilities. So it is an open source pen testing tool that automates, detect and exploit the SQL injection vulnerabilities. So basically SQLMap is a pre-installed in Kali Linux, and operated through command line. If you are using Kali Linux, then it is by default installed, but if you would like to install it separately, then it is available for the openly, and through that website SQLMap you will get the source regarding SQLMap utility, and you will be able to execute in other operating system also. So, it finds and identifies the website that have vulnerable code. Okay. Basically, SQLMap is connected with the regarding with the structural query language, or we can say it's about the databases, and through the SQL injection we will find out the table structure or database structure of that particular specified targeted website or web application, we can say. So, we will see how it will be exploitable in SQLMap, but again I would like to say that it is purely education purpose only. So, it is the SQLMap is used for the pen testing. Okay. So, these are the various features in SQLMap. It supports for all non-database management system like Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL, MS Access, Postgres, SQLite, Sybase. So, all these are the various famous, very famous DBMS softwares. Okay. So, in it support for the SQL injection techniques. It can directly connect with database by providing credential. There are various features in SQLMap, like it supports to discover users, passwords, databases, tables, columns, as well as roles also. So, through that we will get the entire structure of our database, or whatever secret information can be revealed through the SQLMap of particular website. It supports to crack the password using dictionary based attack. So, dictionary based attack we can perform the brute force attack. Okay. It can back up the whole or partial database. If we found the vulnerable web app, then we are able to get the backup of that particular or specified database, and pen tester or attacker can use it for the malified intention. So, it can also upload and download the file from the database server in specific database like MySQL, MS SQL, Postgres. Okay. So, basically I would like to introduce here the SQLMap example. For example, there is a one website called http://www.web-site.com/example.php and !ID is equal to 21. So, it is a one simple example. By looking this we can say it is a very simple kind of one URL actually, but pen tester or hacker, those are going to pen testing on that particular web URL by entering some special symbol or some special character at the end of the URL. If URL will return or throws an error or exception, and then after through that exception or error, pen tester or attacker will observe that particular error. So, above listed URL is prone to SQL injection due to the lacking of escape the parameter ID. It is simply checked by trying to open the URL. So, we are going to enter at the end of URL simply a single quotation mark. Okay. Then after, by adding a single quotation mark in the parameter, if it throws an error or behave unexpectedly, then it indicate that unexpected single quote not managed properly. So, it specifies the ID parameter is vulnerable to the SQL injection of particular website. In our case, it is example.php of website.com. Okay. So, how to use this SQL map? The SQL map command is run using Python interpreter. Actually, it is built in Python. Okay. So, a Python can be run on any platform. Either you are using the Windows operating system, or either you are using the Linux or Mac OS. When the Python is installed in your operating system, you will be able to use this SQL map. So, I have to enter this command into my terminal, that is Python space SQLMap.py -u. Then after my vulnerable URL -u, that means you are going to provide the URL. So, the output of the above command will shows the operating system, database and web server with version information. So, through that, if I am entering this command, I will get the OS of the server, as well as I can also get the database version as well as web server with the version information. So, this is the ultimate use of SQL map. Once you identify that URL is vulnerable for SQL injection and it's exploitable, the further steps to discover the database, the DBS option is to get the list of database list. So, whenever you are sure that particular website or web URL is vulnerable, then after enter this command. Again, I would like to say that it is purely for the education purpose only. So, you have to enter the Python SQLMap.py -u and provide your targeted URL. In targeted URL, you have to mention how can we get that particular web URL is vulnerable, just because of -u parameter. Okay. So, we will discuss this SQL map in our next session. Now, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much. Thanks to